GMS smartphone conversation here for another video of edification dealing with order. And it's a video I've done before. Actually, it's a topic I've done before, but it's an appropriate time to bring up this topic again, seeing that we're dealing with order and seeing that the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing down examples of order. Now, this example takes place in the book of John, the 20th chapter, and it has to do with Peter, the head disciple, head apostle underneath Yahushua, and John, which was underneath Peter, okay, underneath the head apostle, which is Peter. The book of John, the 20th chapter, start the first verse, it says this: The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Now this is after the death and resurrection of Yahushua. Okay? Then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Yahushua loved, and that would be John. Okay? And saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Peter therefore went forth, and that other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together. Now, I always talk about visualization of what you read. So if you will, visualize Peter and John run into the sepulchre. They're both running together. Okay? So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Peter. The other disciple was John. Okay? So again, you're visualizing what you read, right? And you're seeing Peter and John running together. Now you're seeing John outrunning Peter, right? And came first to the sepulchre. So John arrived at the sepulchre way before Peter did. But here's where the order kicks in. And he stooping down, the he being John, looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in. So John outruns Peter. He gets to the sepulchre, he stoops down and he looks in. And remember, John had a real fondness for Yahushua. John was Yahushua's favorite. Not saying that Peter didn't, but of the two, John had a more fondness, or should I say, Yahushua had a more fondness for John than Peter. Okay, but that didn't mean that Peter wasn't the head. And sometimes it works out that way. Okay, it sounds strange, but it works out that way. You know, even though you might be in a group and you have the head guy, it doesn't always mean that the head guy is going to be close to the second guy in command. You know, I mean, he might be closer to a guy lower down in the chain, but it doesn't mean that the second guy in command, that he's not important. Okay, that he has lost his footing or his position, if you will. It's just works that way. Okay, and this is the case that we have here with Peter and John. John was Yahushua's favorite. Okay. In other words, if you line up Peter and John, out of the two, John was Yahushua's favorite, but Peter was over John. Okay, Peter was over John in the scheme of things, dealing with the lineup of the apostles. Peter was over John. But of the two, John was Yahushua's favorite. That is the point that I'm making, and hopefully you brothers out there can see that point. So let's get back to the story. And he stooping down, that's John, right? And looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in. That is the point. He outrun Peter. He gets to the sepulchre, but he didn't go in. Now let's read the next verse. Then cometh Simon Peter following him, and went into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lie. So when Peter got there, he went in. So what you have is we get back to visualization of what we're reading. What you have here is John waiting for Peter to get there to the sepulchre, and Peter just goes right into the sepulchre to look and see if what Mary Magdalene said was true, if the Lord had indeed risen, which he did. Peter just walks right in after running, and then John follows him. Okay, and then John follows him. Now, what does that show? What can we extrapolate from that? Order. If John was out of order, he would have just, first of all, in the running, he beat Peter. He would have just went right into the sepulchre. But John didn't do that because he knew he wasn't the head. He's not the head. Peter is the head. That's why John waited for Peter to get to the sepulchre. Peter goes right into the sepulchre, and then John. Now, the sepulchre was a mini cave, if you will, where the tomb was put in. Okay, if you don't know what a sepulchre is, which you should look it up. But for all intents and purposes, I'll just briefly explain to you what the sepulchre was. The sepulchre was a mini cave where the tomb was laid in. And even to this day, you have so-called Jews that bury certain of their people in sepulchres. I know in Westport, Connecticut, there's a cemetery that I sometimes drive by, and they have sepulchres in there. Okay, little mini caves that inside of that cave is a tomb. Okay, so that's what a sepulchre is. So again, this shows order. Okay, this shows order. The fact that John did not just walk right into the sepulchre, that he waited for Peter to get to the sepulchre after outrunning Peter. He waited for him to get into the sepulchre first, and then he went in, because Peter is the head. Okay? Peter is the head. So hopefully you were edified by this. It's just a short little lesson showing you order. You know, some of you guys, you'll be walking with an elder or an apostle or an elder, and you walk right in front of them. And then at the same time, you're shooting off your mouth. You don't know the understanding of order. Even to this very day, if I'm walking with Elder Apostle Tar, and the same thing with Elder Apostle Ramlab, you know, if we're both walking with Elder Apostle Tar, we walk behind the man. Okay? It shows order. It shows respect. Okay? So again, hopefully you were edified by it. And for now, this is a smartphone conversation, and I'll see you in the next edition.